Hello and welcome to the CUFI Weekly. I'm your host, Kasim Hafiz. Hello and welcome to another episode of the CUFI Weekly. Today I want to talk about history. We are a few days away from the 4th of July, so that's a date I really want to touch on. And no, I'm not talking about the signing of the Declaration of Independence. While that is an incredibly historic and world-changing date, there's something a little bit more recent that I want to touch on. 4th of July, 1976. The date that Israel brought home its hostages from Entebbe, Uganda. So for those of you not familiar, in 1976, late June, a Air France plane was hijacked by Palestinian terrorists from the PFLP, assisted by German terrorists, and it had a large number of Israeli citizens on the plane. They flew this plane to Uganda, to Entebbe, where Idi Amin was the ruler who had become very belligerent towards Israel and had been cozying up to Palestinian terrorists, as well as other global terrorists at the time. Israel was stuck in a dilemma. Its citizens were being held hostage. Its citizens had been separated, just like the Holocaust. Jews and non-Jews separated. Uganda was 2,500 miles away from Israel. There was no precedent. There was no history of even an attempt similar to this. How was Israel going to save its citizens from a hostile country, from terrorists who were also having the backing of the Ugandan army? It seemed impossible. But Israel, which is committed to this idea of never again, Israel, which said, we cannot allow this to happen, pulled off one of the most daring raids in military history. It is still studied today. It flew 2,500 miles to Entebbe, to Uganda, and rescued almost all the hostages. Some were killed, sadly, as was the brother of future Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Yoni Netanyahu, who was an Israeli commando, was the one fatality from the IDF in the mission. They would land back in Israel on the 4th of July, 1976. And I think that's incredibly significant. While Americans were celebrating their freedom from tyranny centuries ago, Israelis celebrated the release and freedom of their citizens who were held under the tyranny of terror. There's something really beautiful in that. For everything that the Jewish people have endured throughout history, the mission in Entebbe, it was something special because it showed to the world that the Jewish people were no longer at the mercy of others, that no longer would they look to an uncaring world to save them. No, they had an army of their own, they had a government of their own, and they had a state of their own, and they took action to save their civilians. I mean, it's incredibly inspiring. And I think it's incredible that even today, in 2022, free nations still must tackle terror, terrorism and violence, be it from terror groups or rogue states like Iran. We are constantly battling the fight against evil and terrorism. It is not an easy fight, and it's very easy for us to get jaded, and sometimes it's very easy for us to forget. When Iran is harassing US Navy ships, when it is sending drones over the Israeli border, it seems a million miles away. But it is the same evil that we have dealt with for decades. And it's so important that we stand together, that we see our nations, which are free, which are fighting evil, which are fighting tyranny, that we stand together united. And as I close out for today, there's one last message I want to leave you with. As we approach the 4th of July, I would ask you all, as somebody who wasn't born here, do not forget how amazing this nation is. I truly love this country. This is my home, and I'm proud to call it my home. Because what makes America incredible, what makes it so special, is Americans. It's you and I. It's not the politicians. It's not even the person in the White House that is America. It is me and you, and how we treat each other, how we act, how we make our communities better. We have the responsibility. We can't throw up our hands and go, oh, it's awful. No, it's on us to make it better. Jesus said, love the Lord with all your heart and love your neighbor. He didn't specify how he had to look or how he thought politically. He simply told you to love your neighbor. And if we could implement those two things, There's two commands. Imagine what this nation would look like. Truly. So, as we approach the 4th of July, let us never forget what has been sacrificed for our freedom. Let us never forget that we are constantly moving forward to improve, to be better, and we will make mistakes along that road because that is what is human. But if I can ask you one thing, watch this video, get off social media, go outside, and just see all the good that is happening. Because we're constantly told everything is doom and gloom, and that's simply not the reality. Have a great 4th of July. God bless Israel, our friend and ally. God bless the United States. This is Kasim Hafiz for the CUFI Weekly. For Zion's sake, do not remain silent. Thanks for checking out today's episode of CUFI Weekly. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay up to date with the latest news from the Middle East along with topics involving US-Israel relations, please be sure to like and subscribe. And remember to click that notification button so that you are notified every time a new show is uploaded.